Hello, I'm Laurentiu,
And I am Alexandra.
and we are Master Certified Ascension coaches with Twin Flame Universe.
And today we just thought to do a video about our twin flame journey. This is just our story, no necessarily deep lessons or twin flame information or anything. This is just us sharing just kind of how we met, how our relationship evolved over time, what we kind of went through, and yeah, just kind of major key elements like in our relationship and journey so far. So I guess I can begin myself. I think like it. I just realized that a big important thing that triggered us meeting was actually my parents' divorce when I was like a teenager, and that around that period I actually made like a change in what I wanted to pursue as a career. So before I wanted to become something like a chemist, something like around like chemistry. I don't know exactly. I didn't have like a huge idea, but I wanted to go to university to study chemistry. But around my parents' divorce, I switched and I started to go deeper into computer science because that was something that, I was good at and actually I really liked, but, I never, like, for some reason until then, I never thought about it as, my career path. But that's when I switched, and that's what enabled me to kind of choose to go to the same university as Laurentiu, and that's kind of where we met in university.
Yeah, and from my side, actually, like what happened, because I kind of like knew I wanted to do something in that area. I was actually debating for a while if I should go to psychology or if I should go to IT. I knew I really liked IT as an idea, but I did actually want and try to apply for both, but even before applying for both, I know that I decided to stay 1 year home after I finished my
High school.
high school before going to university. And when that happened, I just felt like somewhere within myself was calling me, God, universe was just calling me, hey, stay 1 year home, just stay 1 year home. It didn't make any sense from the perspective that I may forget some information, and I did forget some information. But the point was that I just felt this calling, and I really stand true to that. And I had to really face my family and everybody around me because everybody was saying like, "Hey, it's wrong what you're doing. You should go right now to university and tra la la." But I didn't listen, and I just follow, you know, that feeling that I had.
Mhm.
And when I did that, I applied for both university for psychology and um, IT 1 year later, and I didn't enter at psychology, but I did enter to IT, the same university and the same section Alexandra entered
Yeah, we
to.
were kind of like in the same class and kind of subclass in a way. It was kind of interesting. So we ended up like in the same year, in the same class. It was all good, and that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, because like you finished that year and you
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
continued.
just continued directly. I didn't take any pauses or something. But yeah, he kind of waited for me a year so we could meet in university, which was interesting to
Yeah.
kind of see as well, kind of how weirdly synchronistic these situations are. Like right now we look back and we feel like we talked about this kind of like on a soul level somehow, because he had some pushback related to the decision, and even I had like some just things to work through, because when I chose to switch to computer science, I had just everybody was like, this is weird, why are you doing this? Like, you prepared so much to go to chemistry, like it doesn't make sense why you're switching. And I'm like, I don't know, I just kind of feel like it, like that was like, I couldn't like explain. I was a child, I couldn't explain. But like looking back now, it was like, this is kind of weirdly, coincidences are weird and it's interesting. So yeah, we kind of started, and in the first year of university, I did had a boyfriend, so I was like in a long term relationship with somebody, and that relationship kind of like ended through like the first year, but that kind of like didn't allow us to kind of be together like kind of Lau tried to make a move. We had like our kind of first date story, so to say. We'll get into that, but like that really just allowed us to kind of develop a friendship first. Like even if like Lau approached me romantically at first, I kind of rejected him, and we decided it was best to just kind of remain friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and if I can share how it happened is that initially, like around the beginning of the university year, we, like invited her out to just show her the around the town because I was kind of from that town and she just came from into my town, so she didn't knew that place. She had no idea about how it looked like or where to go. So therefore, I acted as a guide, and later on, I actually didn't had initially the intention to just hit on her, okay, but later on that kind of started to okay. I felt that I wanted to be with her, but I kind of like at the end of the day, I made a move, with the hand, put it around her neck and stuff like that. But then she stopped me, said like, "I have a boyfriend," so she kind of friend zoned me. But instead of me getting angry or anything, since I really liked her personality, we could talk for hours. We decided to be friends, best friends, and like really move from there. But before we move into anything, like something that I remember, even before this story, when we first saw each other at university, because there's this thing of people like, oh, when I first saw my twin flame, I had
Instant recognition.
instant recognition, sparks, and things like that. Well, for us, what it happened when I first saw Alexandra, she was sitting on the cold university floor on a yoga pose, an easy pose. It was like, what's going on? From my perspective, more than anything, I wasn't like so in love. I was mad at this girl that was sitting on the university floor. Um,
That was very rude, I guess, or like not proper.
and because she was like, the university floor people just walk on and it's gonna be dirty. So, like, even though like I didn't have the reaction of, oh my god, I love this girl, I was like, all I could think of was of her, but not for the not for the reason, oh my god, I fall in love with the girl. I was just I wanted her to be in a better space, to not have dirt on herself or stuff like that.
Yeah, and for me, like I didn't really had any feelings. I think like the first kind of memory that kind of strikes me, with Laurentiu was when I saw him. We were in like computer science, right? And it's not like a lot of girls in a computer science major. It was like maybe 10 of us and like 50 guys, So it was like a tough competition then when it comes to like hormones and like getting a date and like getting the girls, right? And the first memory I think I have of Lau that kind of strikes me, and these things that the first thing that I thought about him was that he was like hitting on every girl. Like I could see him hardcore trying to like get to know the girls and interact, and I don't know if this was just like but my perception was that he was just hitting on all the girls, and I was like, okay, this guy is just here for like he's talking, but he's just trying to get in some pants, and I'm not interested obviously because I had a boyfriend. So yeah, but that was like the first image. So this is the first impressions that I think like we had of one another, which was not like, oh my god, I'm falling in love with this guy. So that's why when people say like you have instant attraction and recognition, there was like an instant huh, interesting person over there, kind of reaction, but not like any recognition, anything like that from us, like in that way. I think we had that moment way later, where we were like, oh, maybe there's something in, but we'll get there, right? So this is us, like just first impressions, and how it went. So we just kind of started being friends and just hanging out, doing just natural things that you do in a university. We attended classes together. We went to like library to study. We had, study sessions. We sometimes would hang out or go to like bars or stuff like that in a group of people, and not just like the two of us. I think we were in the same friend group, so therefore we were kind of hanging out, doing stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and later on, like during the year, we did started to do stuff just the two of us as well.
Yeah, like at some point we started to kind of just do stuff, just the two of us, mostly because I don't know, I think like towards like the end of the first year there was like a lot of kind of uh stress starting to kind of come with exams and things, and people were just like more kind of focused on their own. Like we had like gatherings, but only after kind of like the exam season kind of ended, and it was just like oh, the relief of exam season being ended. But before that, everybody was kind of just kind of went in their shell to kind of study and do stuff, so we didn't kind of like went out or do, or at least like the friend group that I was part of. I don't know what other people were doing. Yeah, so we did kind of hang out, and I think like the major thing here with it's like we had like a few several funny things happen in our friendship, which was related to us kind of being with other people. Like I hooked you up with a girl once, I met a girl, and for some reason I thought this Lau could get this, I don't know why. I don't know what exactly.
When we look back and at it, it's just funny, but
It's funny, it's weird. But yeah, I hooked Lau up with the girl. It didn't end up well, but in the end, it was okay.
in the end, with that relationship, I wanted to get that girl big teddy bear, and in the end, that teddy bear ended up with her.
Yes, I got the teddy bear in the end. So yeah. Then I think like another kind of funny thing when it comes to like my romantic relationships, I remember that I had like this obsession with the guy at some point, and it was I relate when a lot of people I see talking about being deeply obsessed by somebody who was clearly kind of either like a false twin flame or like a karmic for me, because this guy never gave me any piece of resemblance of interest that he was interested in me, but I put him so up high on a pedestal. I was like, this guy is the one. I was like, so like it was such a weird experience, and it was for months that I was stalking this guy in a way and chasing him and being like quite obsessed with him. It was unhealthy. It was borderline unhealthy what I had with that person. And I was crying to Laurentiu about this guy because he didn't want to meet me, and I was felt sad and ugly and all of the stuff. So yeah, that was like another thing that was.
Yeah, we were there for each other in every
Yeah.
moment afterwards, and we were really. I mean, I was really supporting her, loving her unconditionally, no matter what she was going through, because at the end of the day, I knew I cared
We were
about her.
friends, yeah.
Yeah, like I really cared about her, and
Yeah.
I cared about my best friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did the same for you, I think, like in some ways. I was helping you more like with school
Yeah.
and you with university.
I mean, you did help me,
assignments.
if you remember, because for me, I did have my first relationship was what you could call the false twin flame experience, and I had a hard time moving on from that.
Yes, he did have like it was very funny because like for me, like when we had that initial kind of first date, if you were to call it, like I always laugh about it because we were talking and kind of bonding, getting to know each other. Then kind of Lau makes the move to make the things romantic, and I reject him. And then we're like, okay, let's just stay friends. And 1 hour later, he was crying to me about his ex-girlfriend, and I'm like, God, Jesus, what kind of like bullet did I dodge here with this guy? Because this guy was clearly not over his ex. I was like, God bless what happened over here, because it was like he was a mess, in that point with his ex. And I kind of had to like kind of hardcore work with you on like your confidence and your kind of like ability to move on. And it was just, I don't know, I think like for him or like for you for you having like that kind of just like a feminine side kind of take your side and be like, yeah, what happened was fucked up, because it's very easy, I think, like when you go through a bad past experience to be like, oh my god, like maybe it was me, or maybe I
Yeah.
did, something wrong, or like girls don't like me, and it can truly affect your confidence. And I think like for
Yeah.
you as a guy, it was your first relationship, it was,
Yeah, it really affected a lot my
yeah.
confidence, and I wasn't in a good space, and that's why like I think like afterwards, and why Alexandra saw me as a person who was just hitting other girls, because I felt like such a need to have that connection with a
Mm-hmm.
woman, to just dedicate my whole life to one woman. But because of the previous experience, I was having all of these I would say
Fears.
fears and insecurities and trouble with doing that. And that's what I was actually doing at that moment. I wasn't just seeking to go with all the girls more than anything, I was seeking the girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Alexandra saw me during university speaking with multiple girls, because I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I
So,
didn't go deeper with any of them anyway.
yeah. So it was like a thing, like we got to be kind of each other's, like we were there for one another in very deep ways, and I think both of us kind of helped each other just in that friendship period, kind of overcome just a lot of shit in a
Hmm.
way. And you were like in a good state. Like that's why I think like I also went to kind of hook you up with that girl. Not necessarily she was like, oh my god, so amazing, but come on, get out there, just date somebody at some point, because you're like mopey about your ex, so it has to kind of end. It was part of like, I don't know, ritual of letting go of your ex or something. I
Yeah.
don't know what we were doing. Don't listen to this part like as advice, or don't take it, because we were having no idea what we were doing. Okay.
Yeah, we were at the point where we didn't knew about
Mm-hmm.
spiritual work. We
Yeah.
had no idea about how
Nada.
to stuff. I had some psychological background of what I studied or what someone else helped me through,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't had something like
A method or.
a method or something to really like help me overcome. I had certain things that I've learned during this time, that I've went through some courses or things here in our country, but like I didn't have anything spiritual practice
Mm-hmm.
itself,
Yeah.
and that only came later on, because we
Mm-hmm.
didn't knew about influence anyway.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
just, I don't know, like 19,
Mm-hmm.
something like
This
that.
was 2017 or something like that, I think. No,
No,
2013,
14,
14. Yeah.
14.
Yeah.
In 2014. So yeah, so therefore, like from there, what happened is that like we got into a good space with our relationship, and by the time that like I realized that I felt a calling in my heart to actually go in UK.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I couldn't really continue the university, because no matter what I was doing, and that was my challenge, I couldn't really concentrate at university, at what was being said of how to do stuff. My mind wouldn't just would not work for it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it just was a really weird thing for me, and I realized that the only thing I needed was to heal, because I knew I was unwell. I knew I had a lot of traumas. I knew I had a lot of problems, blocks with myself. So I wanted to just figure out a way to help myself, and that's why like it come to a time that I left our country and I went to UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you want to say something
I think
between.
like it was like, this is what we kind of call like our separation phase, so to
Mm,
say, because we didn't really talk with one another after Lau left.
mm,
It was like a thing like where it was like, I remember being like a bit sad, because again, like it's like we Lau keeps calling himself my best friend, and he was doing that even then, despite me being annoyed by it. So like it was weird, because it was like, oh my god, my best friend is leaving, and for me friendship, like romantic relationships are hard, but for me even friendships were hard back then. Like I never integrated very well in friend groups. I was very socially awkward in some ways. I had like some very bad experiences with friends, with some deep betrayals and bad things that happened. I had like a very weird relationship with friendships as well.
mhm,
And Lau was like the first person that was kind of there for me without any expectations, which was nice but also weird. And I got like into a space of like, oh, okay, well he's leaving and we're never gonna talk with each other again, because that's just kind of how it is. Like I've always experienced having good connections, and then just never hearing again from the person. And then I just assumed that was gonna happen with us as well. And yeah, that was essentially it, and
Yeah,
I was mopey about it.
yeah. And I know like we had the moment then when before leaving actually, she came and we did sleep together. We didn't do anything.
Yeah, like I kind of stayed a night at his place, and we just like played video games and watched the movie. We kind of did that from time to time, but I never actually stayed like overnight. But that time I kind of stayed overnight,
Hmm.
and nothing happened because we were like,
She was having a relationship, I think, or like no, I don't remember.
I don't remember. I was like so on and off. I don't think I was with anybody at that point, but the point is that you were leaving. So
Yeah,
it was like, I didn't, it was like just not the proper time, I guess.
yeah, because like we would both get hurt in that space
Mm-hmm.
if as
Yeah.
I was leaving, or I
I
wouldn't
was
want to
kind
leave.
of like in a space where even if like I wanted to kind of hit on out, like first of all, I was like, I was kind of getting grieving our relationship and kind of coming to terms internally that this is gonna be the end and we're not
Mm.
gonna meet each other again. Then there was like this kind of like, oh, I could do like something, maybe just once or whatever, but it just didn't felt right. It felt like, I don't know, it just was nah,
Yeah.
yeah. You are not really attractive to me back then, to kind of go to the point, so we just kind of, it was what
Yeah.
it was, okay.
Our joke is that I didn't have the beard at the time, so that's what.
Lao didn't have a beard at that time, so I didn't recognize him as my true love. So I'm sorry. I don't know who the fuck you were back then.
The point is, I had a lot of blocks. I
Mhm.
was very.
Both of us had.
We both had a lot of things that
Mhm.
were masking to see who we truly are. So we
Yeah.
couldn't fully recognize ourselves because we had so many layers of upsets, hurts, and things above one of after another. And
Mhm.
after I left for England, I started to be there. I started to work there, and I started to find, somewhere in my heart. I felt like, okay, go find something there on a spiritual, and I found actually something close by, and I started to attend, some Kundalini yoga, and I did it on a regular basis because I wanted to learn something about spirituality, something to help me, and I felt like that was a good starting point. And from there, kind of as I started, because I stayed there for 10 months, and I think like after, I don't know, 5, 6 months, I managed to make some relationships around there, and someone really showed me another spiritual technique, which I started to do
Mhm.
after I managed to miraculously earn more money to be able to attend one of those things. So I started doing that, and I started to really change a little bit, even though the spiritual work was a bit more energy intensive. Was like it did still help me to change a bit, to really come a bit better where I could
What
understand.
was it? You can say what it
I could,
was. Yeah.
I was doing theta healing. I learned
Mhm.
about how to do theta healing, and that helped me at that point to really come into a space where I could really love myself to the degree I needed to be in a better space. Because I know, like, I got in a space almost by the end of this time of being in England where I was happy with myself, I was happy with God, I was happy just living, and I knew that whoever that person was for me, it would like whenever it's gonna be the right moment, I'm gonna be with this person, and I had that faith in God, that trust, because all this time, even before, when we were at university, I always felt I had this feeling in my heart that there was this woman that was calling me and I didn't know where. Funny thing, it actually happened even once when I was going to Alexandra, but I was like, oh, someone is calling me, this woman, but I don't know who, but let me go to Alexandra. Funny thing. But point is, I learned how to heal. I started to do some healing, and then I contact her again after 10 months of not speaking with each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and in those 10 months, I think like I mainly just focused on continuing my studies, focusing on my career, getting, I had a job by that point. I started to kind of become more, involved in my professional development. And I also got into a relationship again. where, this time it was kind of like serious in a way. Like it was the first time that I kind of like went on like Tinder and Bumble and stuff like that, stuff like that. I talked with some people, but honestly, this guy that I was with was the only one that I kind of went on a date, and then we continued over. He, we got into a relationship, and when I met Lau, I met I met him again. We started talking again. We were like already kind of deep in the relationship.
Yeah, like you are living with the guy
Yeah,
and
I was
his
living
parents.
with him and his parents, and it was one of those things where we kind of like settled in a certain routine. I felt like the beginning of the relationship was nice, like we were going on dates and everything was kind of nice, and then we wanted to take the relationship to the next level, so we wanted to kind of move in together, but he couldn't really like afford to pay rent or something. I was like the only one that had, a job, and I was like sustaining myself. So he was looking for a job and stuff. Like he had like the capabilities and stuff. Just it was a temporary thing. But
Mhm.
I was like, okay, then I'm just gonna, because we wanted to be together, I'm just gonna move in with you. And that's kind of where we started to kind of, I don't know, when you start to live with somebody, you kind of know them like in a very different way. And that's when I started to notice kind of some red flags in the relationship for me, where, it was, I was doing just a lot for him, I felt. And the only thing really that in a way was giving was just the fact that I was living with him and his parents, in a way, like I had like a place to live, which I didn't need because I had like rented my own place before, so it was crazy.
Mhm.
But it was like, I don't know, like it's so weird, but I didn't really like value myself in that relationship properly.
Mhm.
That was like the whole thing that I had, like I really didn't, I accepted in a way less than I deserved, I feel. And not saying that these people are bad, none of my ex-boyfriends were bad. I know like we just didn't match, and I know like we just, you know, um, but that I feel like was a lesson that I was accepting something lower than what I knew
Mhm.
I could, receive,
Mhm.
so that's when at some point Lau came in, and our relationship wasn't so good. So I was talking with him, and he was so excited and so happy.
I was excited and happy.
Yeah, Lau was so excited and so happy, and telling me about this theta healing that he was doing, and he was helping like an Indian movie director to heal and make movies, and I was like, oh my god, that sounds so cool. I have my job.
You remember that?
I do remember that. I do remember. It was like a memorable thing for me. So like, oh my god, Laurentiu is working with movie directors from India, out of all things. So it was very funny for me. It was like exciting in a way. It was like interesting. I didn't understand what it meant. So Lau kind of offered if I wanted to do healing as well with him, and if I wanted to grow. And I was like, I don't know, this healing thing kind of sounds weird. Like I'm not really interested, but I always been kind of like open to spirituality. I was always distracted to this kind of like new stuff, learning. So it wasn't until long that he kind of convinced me to try, and we did some healing work together. Then what you helped me heal stuff related to my relationship with my ex. And generally, like in life, I don't know exactly even what kind of stuff we were healing. We're just healing stuff.
Yeah, just
um so like at some point, my ex, was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I told him I was very excited. That's when I started to get excited about inner work and, doing healing and all of that. So I told my ex, and I was like, I don't know what to say, blah, blah, blah. At some point, Lau did kind of like a healing session with me and my ex together. And it was funny because as we were healing, it seemed like our relationship was like going worse and worse. And it was funny because like I had a good relationship with his parents. Like his parents loved me. But as soon as I started healing, suddenly they had like a lot of things to say about me, of how, like, I shouldn't do this or I should not. It came like a lot of, like, remarks, that were very surprising, that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, whoa, where is this coming from? And I remember this distinct moment before I kind of left him, that I felt like in a cage, because I was being with my ex and living with his family. I didn't have my own kind of support system, so to say, at that moment. And yeah, I could like call my family or do like stuff, it's just like, but the situation itself felt like, kind of like a cage. I wasn't really trapped, I again, I managed to get out, but for a moment I had this very distinct visualization
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just in a cage here, like, and these people, like, it's like I could see for the first time that they weren't like really, I don't know, like interested in getting to know me. They were just more. The moment I started to change, they were threatened by that, and instead of getting to know me and see like, hey, what's happening? What are you doing? It was just, you should shut that down because you're not who you used to be before,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't like that anymore. So it was like a very scary thing in a way to experience, but I don't know. Like, I think it's either part of my astrology or either part of my whatever. I have always been able to, I'm a Sagittarius, and it's like when freedom is being, your freedom is threatened as a Sagittarius, you get the fuck out very fast. And this is what I did, like the moment that I realized that that wasn't like the proper space for me,
Mm-hmm.
and through the healing that we were doing, I realized my feelings for love as well. I realized that I am not in the proper space. I need to get out. And that's when, I broke up with my like ex, and then I talked with Lau, and actually I moved in with him,
I mean,
like
like
at his parents.
she moved in with where my mother was
Hmm.
living at the time, like my place where I grew up.
Yeah.
And then we had the moment where we were just talking.
Hmm.
I was happy that she confessed the love because I was feeling the love, but I
Hmm.
wasn't really trying to push that love onto her. I wasn't trying to make her like me. I wasn't trying to do any of that rather than love myself and love her. And
Yeah.
then through that, and even so, like, because again, I was happy to, I was okay to support them, her and the boyfriend that she had at the time. And as I did that, was there for both of them.
Yeah.
She started to recognize all that love for me, and that was
Hmm.
really beautiful when it happened. And then she moved to my mother's place, and then we
Yeah.
had the moment when I had to come back from UK, back to the country, and then I we moved through that, and I
Hmm.
came back in.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was us kind of coming together and kind of being boyfriend and girlfriend. That was like the start of our relationship. It's like Lau didn't have any plans to come back, but he came back for me. So it was just one of those things where we felt, we were in love. Like, we fell in love. We felt that, finally, after kind of 2 years of kind of knowing each other. So we just wanted to be together. So we came together. It was the most natural thing for us. We had no idea how we're gonna make it happen, with money or where to live or whatever. But it kind of all fell in place. Like a month or so later, we found like a
Mhm.
place to live, and we moved in alone. And, we just, from there, we kind of started to kind of, I don't know, get to know each other, as kind of
Mhm.
boyfriend and
Mhm.
girlfriend, live together. It's funny because we live together from day one. If you were to think about it,
Mhm.
we never had like just going around. But yeah, it was though like a challenging moment that came afterwards, because I was like in my final year of university, or I started my final year of university when we got together. And it was very challenging because I did kind of have a part-time job. I did have my,
Part-time job.
yeah, part-time job. I did have my university that I had, and I had to finish my bachelor degree. So it was like a really challenging moment, but Lau supported me through that.
Mhm.
And together, through the power of teamwork, we made it through, and I'm very happy with that. And it's been just like a lot of kind of couple things going on like that. We got the car at some point. We don't have a car anymore. We just like I switched jobs at some point. At some point, Lau got like into university again. He dropped again, and then like
Got the job.
he got a job, and I think like that's when we kind of started going on the twin flame journey, because in this period right now, like we did kind of theta healing here and there, like with each other, right? And we had like some healing experiences, right? But it was generally very kind of complicated and hard. We felt to kind of heal and grow, and we just had this sense that this, first of all, this has to be easier. Like healing has to be easier. I don't believe that this is like the way, and I have to go through so much pain in a way to heal, because the way that we were doing healing before wasn't as efficient. So there was like a lot of, I don't know, pain and a lot of stuff that right now when we do the mirror exercise, it's just really not necessary, right? Like we don't need to scramble into past life and like whatever, try to piece puzzles or do something. Like with the mirror exercise, is very, very simple.
Yeah, because like even before us finding about the mirror exercise, we didn't really believe that we were twin flames because of what it was out there about twin flames. And only when we found the twin flame universe and we saw the teaching of union, and we actually saw Jeff and Shalia, that's when we actually started to, oh, like these people say something that resonates with me in a deeper space. And
Exactly.
we started to, okay, let's try it out. And that's when we actually started, oh, this is actually much easier, oh, this actually works for us. And when we actually started having our first interaction with a coach, and they helped us through the mirror exercise, we had, oh my god, it feels so good. And we had a
It
miracle.
was so easy. Like you cannot understand, but let's just like not jump ahead. We will talk about that, and I'll talk about the mirror exercise and our first time doing the mirror exercise with the coach. So like when Lau got the job, we were at the point in our healing journey where we felt kind of like there has to be something better. We're searching for something more. We're searching for some answers. And honestly, I don't think we were aware of what we were saying. We weren't searching for twin flames. We were searching for something. It felt like we had like a huge missing piece in our life. And we were kind of going with the motions. We were living, we had jobs, we were living life, going on dates, visiting family, doing life, we were doing life, but something felt missing. So that's when we met the person that helped us actually get into the Twin Flames Universe community. And she was the first that said that we might be twin flames. And we were like, come on, like twin flames, like that thing is just like, we read online about it, and the information, at least like when we were online, it was all about, oh my god, it's so hard, it's so intense, twin flames are only meant to trigger you and not love you, and they leave you, and stages of separation and going through 77 cycles of bullshit. And it was like so complicated, and we were like, this is a normal relationship, like we're having a normal relationship, it doesn't make sense.
It is a bit different than what
it is a bit different. Like we saw like a difference between us and other couples, but we just attributed to the fact that, I don't know, we just get along. We thought like we were like just a good match with one another, not like there's like something extremely special in a way, right? So this whole twin flame idea felt a bit ridiculous to us in the beginning. But we said, okay, let's just like kind of see. And this friend was kind of persistent, and she was like, okay, don't listen to me, listen to these teachers, aka Jeff and Julia, and what they say. And our first like important moment in the twin flame awakening, or awakening to the twin flame journey, was actually seeing Jeff and Julia. Because again, like a lot of the people that discussed about twin flames at that times were either in separation, or you couldn't really see them together, you couldn't understand or have like a feeling of their relationship, right? Because they were not with their twin flame. Not saying that what they were sharing maybe wasn't helpful for some people, but for us it really didn't resonate. So we saw Jeff and Shalia, and the moment that we saw Jeff and Shalia, and we just kind of saw what they were saying was making complete sense to us. First of all, it was just logical, and I was like, oh, okay. When we saw like how they explained twin flames, it was like, oh, okay, like that makes sense, and I can
Mhm.
see how by what they share we are twin flames. Like it was just like, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And Jeff and Shelia at that point was saying, like, they were twin flames, a couple that work together in harmonious union, working together, doing the inner work together. So you could have them kind of like as a role model of how a twin flame couple looks like. And we looked at them and just we kind of felt a lot of similarities in the way that they are as a couple with how we are. Obviously, they were more aware of their spiritual power and more aware of their healing and more mastered, right? But we kind of saw like, oh, like I feel like
We relate.
we relate. It was like a feeling of we relate to what they're sharing. We feel like we get. There was like a feeling of, yeah, I get this and this makes sense. And now I want to learn more about this and actually start to kind of live as a twin flame, because like before, again, like we were just living normally, so to say. We
Mhm.
had no idea. We were doing some healing as part of our own kind of self development, but we didn't have any kind of structures or goals or anything like that. We were just kind of cruising along, right? And then when we started to, see Jeff and Shalia and then started to study the teachings of union, it all kind of started to kind of take shape and see like a bigger picture, not just to the twin flame journey itself, but to us, as people. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that this kind of brings us to the moment that we started to do the mirror exercise, because we
Mhm.
talk about the mirror exercise a lot on our channel. And when we started to kind of study what Jeff and Shalia were teaching, and the teachings of union, and we watched their YouTube videos, we were part of the Facebook group. Obviously people were talking about the mirror exercise a lot, that you have to do the mirror exercise, right? So we started to learn the mirror exercise from like blogs and just free resources, free videos that Jeff and Shlia have made or other coaches have made. So we just started to kind of listen and start to kind of do the mirror exercise. Now, us doing the mirror exercise back then was like maybe once or twice a week or something like that. We were kind of doing it, but we weren't like, dedicated, so to say. We were like, okay, let's just try this, see how it goes. And it was all okay. A big moment when we got that book. We got Twin Flames Finding Your Ultimate Lover. Actually, the first version of the book that we got was for free. There was like this special promotion at some point that they had where you could get the book for free. So we jumped on that and we got the book for free as a digital copy, right? And we started to read that. And when we started to read that, a lot of things again started to fall into place. We felt like we got more what the twin flame journey was about, and we really started to kind of see ourselves
Mhm.
as twin flames, I think, and started to live a bit like that, like
Mhm.
understand the mirroring better, healing ourselves a bit better, where to put
Mhm.
boundaries and where to kind of like, I heal myself, this is my part, this is your part, kind of just getting clear on, us and how we
Mhm.
work together from this spiritual sense. In a way, it was the first time that we were exploring this more spiritual side of our relationship
Mhm.
in this way, where we kind of had a structure, not just we were
Mhm.
discombobulated in space knowing like we can heal, like we had like more guidance. So we were kind of trying to learn more how to navigate this.
Mhm.
And through the time it was like it was okay, but we had like a meeting with a coach, a Twin Flames Universe coach. So we are coaches affiliated with Twin Flames Universe. This was also a coach affiliated with Twin Flames Universe, and they were also like a couple in Harmonious Union back then. And they helped us do the mirror exercise. And I tell you, we had just like a 30-minute free meeting, exactly how we do right now. We offer 30 minutes free meetings. We were in a 30 minutes free meeting, and we were discussing Twin Flame Ascension School, right? Because we were interested in Twin Flame Ascension School. Like the Twin Flame Ascension School is the courses that are made by Jeff and Julia as part of Twin Flames Universe, and is the whole kind of teaching on twin flames. Is the thing that you want in your life if you want to know twin flames, right? And we were interested. We saw like the free materials. I think by that point we kind of consumed a lot of the free stuff, and we were like, we want more, we want to actually learn. we had to actually go deeper and really master what this twin flame journey is all about. So, obviously, we wanted to talk with the coach to get help to sign up for Twin Flame Ascension School. So, we met with the coach, and that's when we had a professional coach, so to say, trained with Twin Flames Universe, help us do the mirror exercise. And it was mind blowing and life changing. Like, we were doing the mirror exercise before, but you can, like, it was so different when I first did it with the coach, because it was so powerful. And I know I was working on some financial issues because we wanted to sign up for Twin Flame Ascension School, and at that time I think it was like something like $200 a month. Right now it's way more expensive, but it was like something like $200 a month, and that was a lot for us. Like, that was like a big chunk of our money. But the thing is that I could do that investment, but the problem for me back then was like I was, I had like to repair my car, and I had some car payments and different type of payments. And, I was like, I can't do it this month, but I will do it next month. And the coach helped me like move through upsets about that. And, it's like, okay, but, it was like a financial block that I moved related to the car specifically, because I was very afraid with the car. I had to pay maybe $200 I had to pay on the car themselves to fix the car. So I had like this kind of commitment in my mind that I had to do with the car. And the coach helped me move through that block. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out the car. Like, I'm not gonna die if I'm not gonna fix the car. I'm gonna figure it out. I trust God, I trust the universe here, and I sign up for Twin Flame Ascension School. 3 days later, I swear, like, my mom called me and she was like, I will handle the car. You don't need to repair it anymore. And she absolutely like took over. And I was like, oh my God, it was such a relief, because that car was like, I had like something to do with it, and it was very painful. It was stressing me out. It was a bad situation. And 3 days after I did that mirror exercise and I signed up for Twin Flame Ascension School, that was the first kind of miracle that we experienced. That car just, my mom saying, okay, I'm gonna take care of this car. You don't need to worry about it anymore. And it was so relieving. And I was like, wow, like, this is actually working, like the healing, the mirror exercise is actually working. I am seeing results instantly, not only like through feeling better, but I had, this just very deep awakening, like, oh my God, yes, this is what I was searching for. I was searching for healing to be easy. I was searching for me to have results. And this is what I experienced with the mirror exercise. And I was like, so, amazed, because again, coming from theta healing and what we were doing before, this was very easy. Like, the coach, it was just 5 or 10 minutes in the call that we had, that we did this one mirror exercise, that really was blew me away, right? And it was such a blessing, and I'm so grateful for that experience, right? Because it just, I don't know, for me, that experience helped me be more committed to the inner work and like really dive in. That was the moment where I said, you know what? Screw everything else I know about spirituality. I'm going to focus on this, and I want to master this. And this is why you will not see me and Lau give like a lot of advice on like meditation or other stuff, because we really like went through a lot of healing modalities ourselves in the past. And when we got to the mirror exercise, it was like, this is next level. Like, this is what I want, and I want to focus only on this. I want to become a master at this, and this is, why later on we became coaches, right?
Yeah. So we dedicated our life to that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Afterwards, I feel like, we started studying Twin Flame Ascension School. It was really amazing. We were having a lot of fun. Again, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like though, like we can have a part 2 of this video.
Okay, we will have a part 2.
Because it gets a bit too long, and I want to make sure, like we don't overwhelm people.
Okay, good. So we will have a part 2 where we discuss about everything that happened after, we did a mirror exercise for the first time. Was our story before doing the mirror exercise. We will do Part 2 will be after doing the mirror exercise and getting twin flame ascension school.
Exactly, yeah. So thank you very much for watching us, and see you in the next video.
Yep, see you next time.